welcome to another episode of the Late Aesthetic Show. Today I'm joined by my really good friend, Erin White. So thank you for joining me today. Would you like to introduce yourself to the listeners?
Sure. Thanks, Vanessa, and thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Very excited to do this with you today, and I think this is such a great podcast that you've put together, and I'm excited to be one of the first guests. That's really fun. I am, obviously, I'm an American. I've been with Hydrofacial now for almost 6 years. I got started in the aesthetics market almost about 20 years ago. I had been a stay-at-home mom for a while, and I was looking to get back to work, and didn't necessarily want to do anything too big. Silly me. And so, I started with a company as a flex rep, kind of got back into the work mode. And over the last 18 years, I've progressively built my career. I've carried a bag in topicals. I've carried the bag in injectables, in med device, and now here I am in capital sales and consumables. So moved to Hydrofacial UK in 2022. Been here almost 3 years now. And I love every day in this industry, and I love everything we do.
What do you love so much about this industry? I mean, it's such a fast-paced industry. Things have obviously changed so much throughout your experience in the industry. What do you love so much about the current, let's say, state of the industry, the current condition that the industry is in?
So I love that we're constantly evolving as an industry, and I do enjoy the fast pace. And I like that we don't just make people look good, we also help them feel good. And I think the trend we're seeing towards more regenerative medicines and treatments as opposed to fixing things. So I just had this conversation when I was back in the States last week with someone that, even the way an injector injects today is different. We don't just pump filler into the nasolabial folds anymore. We really look to address the loss of facial volume as a total facial universe. Mm-hmm. And you see way more injecting techniques that are addressing, sort of the outer face, the jawline. We've gotten away from that sort of overfilled nasolabial look, and I love that. And I love that some of the ingredients we're bringing out, exosomes and polynucleotides and polylactic acids and all those things are really regenerative.
And it's about putting products and stimulants into the body that's getting the body to do what it needs to do again.
Exactly.
Because that just slows down when we age.
Unfortunately, yes.
Yes, exactly. So Hydrofacial is obviously such a global brand name. We're in the flagship today recording this podcast in London, and it's a globally renowned name. It's kind of like the go-to, I think, when someone thinks about skin health. They think, I need to have a Hydrofacial. Or if they think they need a facial, they think, well, I need to have a Hydrofacial. Tell me, what exactly is the Hydrofacial?
Sure. So Hydrofacial is a hydrodermabrasion device. It is a multimodality system, so we're able to do lymphatic drainage. We have red and LED light therapy that goes with it. We say you have to get it to get it. And it is just an amazing treatment. And as I said earlier, it's both about looking good and feeling good. We are constantly, through a closed-loop vacuum system, we're constantly exfoliating and infusing the skin. So we're using healthy ingredients, antioxidants, peptides. We have our partnership boosters with brands like Circadia and Murad and JLo Beauty, where we're infusing different types of hydrating ingredients, Dr. Nassif's hydroglucan. We can really customize. We make it a completely bespoke experience for every single patient to get the treatment that they need. And even each time they come in, we can customize that treatment. And then we have all of the different range of tips as well, from a mild exfoliation all the way to our most aggressive medical doctor-only wet diamond tip.
Amazing. So it literally is a truly customizable treatment.
100%.
And I think sometimes when people think, it's going to be a really heavy exfoliation, and if they've got, let's say, sensitized skin, they wouldn't be suitable for the Hydrofacial, but that's not the case whatsoever.
That's correct. In fact, in June of this year here in the UK, we launched our new Peel Sensitive, and this was the first Peel addition to Hydrofacial's portfolio in about 15 years. And it is a blend of 2 next-gen ingredients, phytic acid and lactobionic acid. So now, really, everyone can have a Hydrofacial.
I love that. So as I've said, Hydrofacial is a huge globally renowned brand. And the problem with brands that are so well known is the copycats that come on the scene, which, you kind of have to take it as a form of flattery. Mm-hmm. But there's so many places, not to name any specific names of, clinics or salons, that have or claim that they have a hydrofacial, but it's not a hydrofacial. It's a counterfeit, or it's a copy, or it's a device that looks similar. How would you, let's say, advise the general public? How would they know whether something was legitimate or non-legitimate?
So that is a real challenge in our industry. And if you think about luxury brands, things like Chanel and Louis Vuitton, and I was recently in Tenerife and walking along the street, there's like every knockoff bag you can imagine. But if you're an educated consumer, right, you know what you're getting. And so I think that's the really important part of it, is to be an educated consumer. And one of the things we've just launched at Hydrofacial I'm super proud of is our verified provider program. So what we're doing, and it's a slow process, obviously, because we're doing this individually, clinic by clinic. My business development manager team is going into the clinics, and they're making sure that the device is being operated properly, that the serums are being used properly, that the right boosters are on offer in the clinic, that the advertising is correct, that there's a link on their website directly to come to Hydrofacial. So as an educated consumer, the first thing I want people to start looking for the Hydrofacial verified provider sticker, because that's going to tell you with 100% certainty we have visited them within the last 60, 90 days and verified that they're doing everything the right way to give you the best Hydrofacial possible. And then on top of that, look at the machine, look at the serums in the machine. Our tips, except for the wet diamond, are single-use disposable tips. Ask to see the sleeve of tips. I know it sounds silly, but you would look at the label inside that handbag before you bought it. Do the same thing with your Hydrofacial.
Exactly. And I don't think people realize that actually going for a counterfeit option can actually cause problems. It's not just a case of saving, a few pounds or whatever. It can actually cause problems because it won't be operated properly.
For sure.
It will probably be CE marked, but hasn't had any efficacy, put towards it whatsoever. It's probably been imported from other countries. So it can actually cause long-term damage.
It can. So, again, that closed loop vacuum system that I mentioned, essentially what that means is that as we're extracting, what we're extracting can never come back onto the client's face. You don't know that about a counterfeit machine. Our serums, everything that goes into Hydrofacial goes through rigorous testing in the U.S. We are a U.S.-based company, but we are a global brand. So all of that happens. We meet all the regulatory guidelines in every market we sell a Hydrofacial device in. The education that we provide to a therapist and esthetician prior to operating a Hydrofacial is key. And again, not everyone is doing that. And then also make sure that your Hydrofacial machine that you see has real Hydrofacial product and real Hydrofacial tips in it as well. Because if they're not using our serums, then we can't guarantee the efficacy and the safety of that treatment.
And you're right, it's not just the devices that there's counterfeit options for the devices, it's actually the serums, which are an integral part of a Hydrofacial protocol. There's so many counterfeit serums, which is scary, and it's very, very scary for the consumer as well, because it's their face at the end of the day, it's their skin.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, people are prone to breakouts. 71% of people in the UK have sensitive skin. So imagine if you're going to someone who doesn't actually have the correct education, the correct training, or those patented serums that come with your Hydrofacial. It can be concerning, absolutely.
Yeah. So you mentioned the diamond tip, which is it's a brand new tip that obviously Hydrofacial have launched, and it's only suitable for medic-led clinics. Am I right in thinking that? Yeah.
So the wet diamond tip, while wet diamond hydrodermabrasion isn't necessarily a new concept, what we recognize is that this tip is the most aggressive type of tip that you can use in hydrodermabrasion. And we felt that, again, in the best interest of the consumer, the patient, that particular tip is only available where there's a physician on site. So what we're doing is we're training the physicians. They then go into clinic, they train their estheticians, which is how we want it to be. But there is that oversight with it. And it's one of the things I find amazing here in the UK is that the lack of regulation there is around who can do what to you. So we're sort of trying to lead the charge a little bit here to make sure that we're putting patient safety first.
Exactly. So you mentioned that you're from the US. How different is the regulatory system, let's say when it comes to who can perform certain treatments and who can't, compared to what we have and the standards that we have currently in the UK? Is there a big difference?
There is, particularly in certain. So again, in the U.S., remember, we're the United States of America. So each state does have their own state rules and regulations, their own state advisory boards and oversight. However, Botox, for example, which is a neuromodulator, I should say, not just a brand name, but the neuromodulators, right? That is something that, if improperly injected, can cause permanent blindness. It's really quite frightening, as can fillers if they're injected improperly. So going to someone who's at least a nurse and has the understanding of good facial anatomy and has gone through facial anatomy training classes, not just what we call the weekend warrior injectable training class, is really important for your safety. So you might save a few dollars, but again, it's kind of like that thing, would you drive a car without brakes? Or would you take your car to be serviced by someone that doesn't, that isn't a licensed mechanic? Of course not, because you're putting your life in your hands. Well, believe it or not, people sometimes see aesthetic procedures as, not that serious, and they can be.
That's the problem. They think, because I think it's become so trivialized, it's become as talked about now compared to 10, 15 years ago as going now and getting your nails done, getting a manicure or a pedicure. People talk about what they have, openly. So it's become trivialized, but people don't realize the risks associated. That's the biggest problem. And it's not just with injectables, it's everything. It's whether you do chemical peels, you do some needling on the skin, you do a hydrofacial. It's about having like high standards across the board, because otherwise we're putting patient safety at risk and the public, in danger.
That's exactly it. So again, something I'm super passionate about is protecting the patient safety and also delivering efficacy, because you're spending money on this, right? And we're all, everybody's pocketbooks have gotten a lot tighter in the last 2 years.
Definitely.
So it is really important to make sure that you're getting the best value. And I love when I hear an injector say to them, if you only have this much money to spend, then I'm not your person.
Exactly.
Right? So again, really, it's one of those things. There's so much out there with GPT and AI and Google searches. Do your search, do your research, be an educated consumer on everything.
Well, that's it. So if the government are going to do or take their time to regulate the industry, I think the best that we can do and the best we can advise is for the consumer to go to a trusted clinic, ask the questions, find out what they're offering, and then you can also compare that to somebody else as well. And then you can find the right practitioner and the right clinic for you.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Perfect, yeah.
So with hydrofacial, can you combine it with other technologies as well?
You can. So we say hydrofacial is the and brand.
Yes.
We have great partnerships with things like Emerald Lasers. So Emerald Laser is something that can be done at the exact same time as your hydrofacial. So you can get two things done at the same time, work on that belly bloat maybe, and get your face glowing at the same time. We recommend it certainly in conjunction with IPL or microneedling or RF microneedling, because when you're working with a clean canvas, you're going to get a better result from all of those other treatments. And again, our partnership boosters, right? So all the brands that we work with in terms of different boosters plugged in for different patient needs.
Amazing. So for those who don't know, the Emerald is like a non-invasive, non-thermal fat loss laser, which is also fantastic for cellular rejuvenation. So clinics will do like a protocol where, for example, you can have the hydrofacial, then you can have the Emerald, let's say, on the abdomen or the thighs at the same time. So you're maximizing the time that you spend in clinic. We're all very busy people. We want to do as much as we possibly can in the shortest space of time, especially when it comes to treatments. But you can also combine with the body protocols as well. So hydrofacial, you guys, I think, launched this, was it last year, the body protocols now?
Yes, so we have neck and décolleté, hydra hands, hydra back, and of course, hydra booty.
Exactly.
So if you're doing something like a sculpture or a lanluma for enhancement in the booty, it's a great thing to do hydrofacial with that as well. If you are doing something that's like an Emerald laser, have the hydrofacial lymphatic treatment done on the abdomen and help move that lymphatic fluid. You're just always going to get a better result from whatever you're investing in if you're also doing a hydrofacial.
Absolutely. And I think that's really important for the general public to ask these questions, because you can't just go into a clinic and they give you one solution to whatever your concern may be. There needs to be like multiple steps of that treatment plan. And without that, I just think that you're doing the consumer a disservice if you're not offering them multiple different solutions, because you need to combine things.
You do. You absolutely do. Again, like you said, we're busy. We don't have a lot of time. The clinic is busy. They don't have a lot of time. And I think, again, as a consumer myself in our industry, I love it when they say, you know, have you considered this? We can do this at the same time, because we're busy. We don't have a lot of free time. So, yeah, I mean, if you're not getting a good treatment plan, you should probably look somewhere else.
Completely agree with you. Where do you, let's say, see the industry going? Like, where do you see, we've had so many developments even over the last 12 months. In, let's say, the next 3 to 5 years, where do you see the industry moving?
God, that is a good question, because I'm not sure I would have seen this 3 to 5 years ago, right?
Absolutely not.
I think regenerative medicine will continue to dominate and will continue to unearth more things that help us sort of restore our own cells, restore our own collagen. I can see probably some more injectables coming to do that. I see, you know, we've heard rumors of 6-month-long neuromodulators and 12-month-long neuromodulators coming out. I know hydrofacial has some fun things in the pipeline, but can't talk about those right now.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned for that. So, yeah, I mean, I think everyone recognizes we've moved away from the early days of laser where you fried someone's face. I always think about, you know, the old Sex and the City episode with Samantha when she's bright red and she had a chemical peel. Like, there's so few people that need such extreme measures now. You're much better off doing a series of treatments and slowly getting to the result you want. It just works in your life better.
I completely agree with you. So, Erin, thank you so much for joining me today. If anyone has any comments about anything skin-related, hydrofacial-related, industry-related, please put them in the comments section. And stay tuned for more episodes.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.